I think I might have some trust issues, because I have an odd suspicion that not everything is as it seems with our little helper Ollie. In this video, I am going to be going over a little theory that I have, and also one that I've seen quite a few others mentioning as well. Is Ollie, our gracious phone guide, secretly evil? Let's get into the video. Let us begin with where my suspicions began. Shortly after receiving the phone and speaking with Ollie for the very first time, you will eventually get into a tram that will lead you into Playcare, while Elliot Ludwig gives his big speech about his vision for Playcare and why he made it. And in the Story Explained video, I mentioned just how much this scene reminded me of Bioshock's opening scene, when you see Rapture for the very first time, referencing the notable similarities of the narration on worldview, camera view, and obviously the secret world beneath the surface. Now, a spoiler alert for Bioshock if you haven't played it for some reason in the last 12 years, but it got me wondering about another similarity. After arriving in Rapture, you find a walkie-talkie and speak with a man named Atlas, a person that will guide you throughout the game and tell you what it is that you need to do. And the fact is, we have such a similar scene with the Playcare introduction scene to Bioshock, and the clear inspiration that it had on the third chapter. And since we also have a walkie-talkie of types with Ollie right before that scene, could Ollie be the Playtime version of Atlas? See, at the end of Bioshock, it's revealed that Atlas was actually the bad guy all along, and you'd just been secretly doing his bidding this whole time. But a possible inspirational connection with a completely separate franchise is hardly enough evidence in and of itself. So let's take what we've been given within Playtime Chapter 3 instead. At face value, you could easily assume that Ollie is just simply a surviving orphan from Playcare, looking to help the souls of the other orphans trapped within the toys, and get revenge against the prototype.
Whoa! Did you do that? I guess that's where Catnap found you. I know you're probably mad at Poppy for not letting you escape, but she needs you. We need you. You are our mission.
However, when you give some thought to the timeline of events, this actually doesn't make much sense at all. Ollie sounds like a child. The voice completely fits the age range of the orphans, being between around 7 to 12ish. But we have to remember that Playtime has been completely shut down since the Hour of Joy incident, meaning that any remaining or surviving human orphans would be 10 years older at the time of which these events take place, meaning that Ollie would either be in his late teens or early 20s. And I don't know about you, but that is not the voice of somebody in that age range. We could make a stray argument that maybe Ollie was a toddler or a baby at the time of Hour of Joy. And we do have some evidence that did show that they seem to house babies, since we can see some cots within the house. But Playtime did seem to be more interested in subjects that could physically and mentally play the games in order to assess them for experimentation. While it is possible, I would lean to it being unlikely. Not to mention a line that Ollie says while we're in Playcare for the very first time, and it jumped out at me as being quite odd. Let me know what you think.
It's me again, Ollie. Cool place, right? The kids used to live here. Now look at it.
Did you notice it? Ollie said, and I quote, "The kids used to live here." Not, "we used to live here," or "I used to live here." Speaking almost from an outside perspective, which is odd given his apparent age, since what purpose would he have being in here if he was not an orphan himself? So how could Ollie have the voice of a child yet enough knowledge on how to guide you throughout Playcare? Well, let's go over the obvious answer first. We know of one individual that is certainly not afraid of a little deception, and also knowingly holds the capability of being able to morph their voice completely to sound like a different person. The prototype. We heard in an interview between Dr. Sawyer and the prototype that it is able to mimic voices, being able to completely replicate their voice as he did with Dr. Sawyer.
Oh, don't fight or give in. Regardless, I learn something new about you every day. It excites me. Thank you. You thank me. Absolutely. I learned something new about you every day.
It is unknown whether Prototype can simply just do this at will, or create any voice that it wants, or if it requires hearing someone's voice in order to replicate the tone and pitch. But the way that it came across in the interview, it seemed almost like it replicates rather than creates, since it was moving between tones in the first part of the interview. So if this is indeed the case, how did Prototype, an experiment that was supposedly kept within confinement by Playtime, even having a failed attempt of escape, manage to speak to a child in order to acquire their voice? Well, there is a child that we know for certain had communication with Prototype, and that is Theodore Gramble, the child that would later become Catnap. We know through various documents that Prototype saved the life of Theodore, deciding to take Theo to the staff for medical assistance over escaping through the maintenance door to freedom when he had the opportunity to. So it is possible that the voice that we hear on the phone, if Ollie is indeed Prototype, is the actual replicated voice of a young human Theodore Gramble. It does make you wonder. Now, given the theory that we are running with here is that Ollie is the Prototype, we do have Ollie mentioning the story behind Catnap and the events that took place with the Prototype himself, explaining how Prototype saved Theo, giving up on its own freedom in the process, as I mentioned earlier, and how dangerous Catnap is to anyone that opposes Prototype, and how Catnap views Prototype like a superhero. He never outwardly mentions how dangerous Prototype is, or even how bad he is, only mentioning that he saved the life of Theo. Poppy was the one that pointed out all the flaws of Prototype, not Ollie. He seemed more concerned with Catnap, and there's even a line at the end of the story, once you've defeated Catnap, where Ollie calls you for one final time.
Wow, you did it! You must feel pretty good. With Catnap dead, you're one big step closer to the Prototype. One step closer to winning. You've made your choice. You're staying to help Poppy. Well, finish the job. This win is yours.
Doesn't that come across almost like sarcasm to you? You must feel pretty good? I don't know, am I crazy? It just seems condescending from somebody that's supposed to be on our side. Now, we do have a few things that make me wonder if this theory is correct, and I want to share them with you. Firstly, Poppy seems very anti-Prototype, at least from what she has told us at face value, even mentioning that it's the reason that she was trapped within her box for all those years. Yet, despite this, she seems very trusting of Ollie, telling us that we should listen to him and that she and him are working together, fighting back against the Prototype and trying to save everyone within Playtime. So, is it possible that Ollie has deceived Poppy just like he has with us? Or maybe they're working together in secret? There is another theory I'd like to mention, but it puts a bit of a contradictory perspective on the title of this video. There is a separate theory that Prototype is actually the Playtime founder and creator, Elliot Ludwig, being turned into the first successful Playtime experiment. If that is indeed true, that means that Elliot Ludwig is not only Prototype, but possibly also Ollie himself. This would make things a lot more interesting, since it could explain how Ollie is able to send things such as the keys and the power batteries to different places within Playtime. And it also explains how he has such a vast amount of knowledge of everything, including hidden staff staircases and Playcare, and how the electrical system operates. It also makes Ollie's earlier comment on how the children once lived here make more sense, since Elliot would be speaking from the perspective of the owner or a staff member. But from what we can tell, Elliot doesn't seem like a bad person at all. In fact, everything that we know points towards Elliot genuinely caring about the children within Playcare. Think about it. Prototype chose to save Theo instead of using the opportunity to flee into his own freedom. This is not the act of a selfish being, but it is the action of someone that cares about the child's well-being. Is it possible that Prototype and Poppy are simply trying to free the souls of the children that were used in the Bigger Bodies initiative, and even free the children themselves from the Playtime staff back in 1995? It is difficult to say with the information that we have thus far, but I enjoy thinking about it all the same. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below, or if you have conflicting theories. I would love to read them. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, peace.